look much different?
Yeah, so this spring and summer, I really focused on my nutrition. I really focused on, trying to make food for myself and, staying in, eating, making like grilled chicken, vegetables, stuff like that. And another thing I coupled with that was just, getting a lot of extra work in the weight room. So my body fat went down from 10, and I'm down to 7% now. I went from like 175 up to like 181 in like lean muscle mass. So, I feel really fast, I feel really explosive, and I think, just watching the film, I can really tell, I look different, I'm moving different, and it feels really good.
What prompted the change? Was there something that you didn't like that you experienced last season to change, or is it because this is your last season?
I think it's a little bit of both. Franklin talked about just doing the little things, and, why wait? He said a lot of guys, go off and train for the combine, and they come back looking completely different. But we have the power to do that now. We have great nutritionists, Farrell, Leanne, and we have the resources to do it. So you might as well take advantage of that. And also just last year, I think I was watching some film, and there are some plays to be made where I feel like if I was a little bit more explosive or a little bit faster, a little bit more athletic, that I could. So I think I wanted to take that next step as well.
Is there a difference between being fast and playing fast?
Yeah, I think there's a huge difference. I think Banks talks about it all the time. 4-4, like if you're a 4-4 guy, but if you're thinking out there before the snap, you're going to play like a 4-6, 4-7 guy. But if you're a 4-5, 4-6 guy, and you're able to anticipate certain things, and based off of formation and splits of receivers, you can play like a 4-4 guy. So I think there's a huge difference, and obviously if you have both, that's another level. So I really take my film study seriously and knowing the playbook really seriously, and I think I've taken that next step and just knowing the defense as a whole as well. That's helped me play really fast.
What can you tell us about the young receivers? I mean, all your receivers are basically young, and I guess Carr kind of classifies as young within the program, but what can you tell us about that group of players?
I think Coach Parker's done a great job with our receivers since he's gotten here. A guy, I guess a young guy that's kind of caught my eye is, JD. I think he has a lot of speed, and he's really smooth and fluid. And I think we have a lot of, explosiveness, like on the outside. I think a guy a lot of people are going to be talking about this fall is Dan Chisena. I know he made the big deal in the spring game with a long touchdown catch, but, just watching him so far in camp, I think he's really been working on his craft this summer. And you can see he's real fluid in and out of his routes now, and he's making tough catches, contested catches. And then you obviously got our guys like, KJ, he's technically a young guy, but, he's one of the older guys in the receiver room, guys like Jahan. It's fun as a DB room to be able to go against those guys every day in practice. It's a lot of fun competition.
You mentioned being fluid in and out of your routes. What kind of pressure does that put on a defensive back when you have a receiver that can do that?
I mean, it's a ton of pressure because, you got to be on your game 100% of the time. These guys do a really good job of stemming us, giving us different looks every rep with their releases and stuff. So, they got to be fluid in and out of their routes, and we got to be fluid in and out of our breaks. So I think that's one thing we really work on is just keeping our hips loose, keeping our footwork tight. And that's something Banks does a really good job, and Coach Smith does a really good job with the corners. So it's a constant battle.
When you guys scrimmaged, what was the best play that the defense made? Is there one that stands out for you?
I mean, other than just having an overall great scrimmage on the defensive side of the ball, I think the play Keaton made on Dan Chisena, he had a deep vert, and it was like a contested catch, and Dan caught the ball pretty much, and I think Keaton, stuck his arm in and ripped the ball out as he was coming down, and ended up being a pick. So that was really impressive, just to see him close on the route, see him not give up, and come down with the ball. Those are big plays we're going to need this fall.
Some players talked about creating more turnovers and actually turning them into scores. Mm-hmm. How do you go about working on that, and what have you seen with respect to that throughout the preseason?
Obviously the first thing for that is just we got to get our hands on balls. And I think that's one thing we talk about, especially in the secondary, is just, challenging yourself. Practice is the time to, if you're on a route, the time to, try to see if you can make an interception, try to see if you can make that play. And if you don't, you'll learn from that mistake and correct it the next time. But practice is not the time to be timid with that. So we've really been trying to, push our boundaries and attack the ball in the air. And then once we do get the ball in our hands, turning defense into offense. I think that's one thing I can improve on. Last season I had a couple turnovers that I think I could have turned into points, which I didn't. So I think, as a defense, we're really working on getting our hands on balls and turning defense into offense.
Time for 2 more.
What about, is there somebody who is actually, do you have a competition about who's created the most turnovers in the preseason? I know in previous years guys have said that's been a big deal, especially when the DBs.
Yeah, we always have our takeaway king during camp, so that's whoever is leading the defense in picks. So we got a bunch of guys up on that board right now. So it's a fun, friendly competition, but we also take it very seriously. So that's something we do every camp, every spring ball, and during the season is the takeaway king goal. So that's what we're doing.
Can you reveal who's up there, or is that top secret information?
Now we got guys. I know Lamont's up there, Keaton's up there, Joey Porter Jr., C.J. Holmes got a pick today. I think Brandon Smith had a pick in the scrimmage. So there's a lot of guys, with a lot of production. So it's a close competition right now, and we got a lot more practices. So it's going to be fun to see who's up on top.